You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Join the party that is Make Your Day Richer TV by advertising your brand, business, or project during the show. Use us to promote what you're doing to make our viewers' day richer. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the show. How's it going? It's Tuesday. It's snowing here in South Carolina. We have not had snow in, I think, 3 years, is what they tell me. I've only been here for almost 2. But we woke up to snow this morning, and my dog, who has never seen snow, walked outside, barked at it, and then ran back inside. And she's a 90-pound Great Pyrenees who's supposed to be protective. And she's deathly afraid of snow. So that's what we learned this morning. So that's what's happening at our house. Also, thank you so much for 179,000 views and downloads of this show. I don't even know what to say. LinkedIn we've been killing it on LinkedIn. So thank you to everyone on LinkedIn. And no matter where you're watching, because we're broadcasting all over, make sure now's a good time to just share the show and share it with everybody you know. And we'll get to 180 by tomorrow. And we'll get 200 by the end of the month. My goal, we started this show last June, and my goal by the end of 2024 was to be at 100,000. And we made it. And somehow we're now at 179, and January is not even over. So it's very exciting. I get to bring you amazing people every day, and I'm so honored to be able to do this show, and I'm so glad that people are watching. So thank you very much for doing that. Let's see. I also want to thank Lisa Gatewood, who I did a show in 2009 on public access television. She was my first guest. She has been a friend of mine since college, and she's a musician and apparently a really good artist because she doodled, you'll see in our new intros and outros and commercial breaks, our new live audience that she has created for us. So thank you for that, Lisa. She's amazing. Go get her. She has a couple albums, so go look her up. Lisa Gatewood. Okay, also, because we have been having a great time with our friends at PodMatch and getting amazing guests like the ones we have today, we're kind of changing things up around here and doing more live interviews. I've been doing a lot of pre-recorded interviews and have not done a full live show in a long time. And I think they're more fun than doing pre-recorded shows. So we're kind of moving stuff around. So if you are scheduled to be on an episode coming up that you're recording not at live at 10 a.m., reach out to me and schedule a different time, because I'm going to be reaching out to you to be like, that's canceled, please reschedule. Because we have like 100 interviews that are recorded, and it's going to be like so out of date by the time we get to them. We're still going to air them. Like today, we've got a live guest and then a pre-recorded guest. And then eventually we'll just get live guests all the time, and it's fun. So anyway, that's my story, is that I think it's going to make the show more fun if we're just live all the time. So speaking of that, so on tomorrow's show, Lynn Bowman was supposed to be here pre-recorded, who's amazing. She's going to be here next week. But Curtis Linville will now be here because I screwed up the scheduler and he scheduled the time for tomorrow. So he's going to be here tomorrow, and he has a great book called 99 Words. So a little schedule change for tomorrow, but it's still good, and it's still live, and it's still all new. All right. Let's see. Also yesterday, this is what I do love about this show and why I will do pre-recorded episodes or interviews if I have to, because yesterday I got to interview one of my childhood crushes, one of my childhood idols. Her name is Annie Wood, and she hosted a game show in the 90s that I was obsessed with as a kid. And I reached out to her, and she came on, and it was just a fantastic time of my life. Like, I had goosebumps. I cried a little. I used to pretend to be her in my bedroom and pretend I was hosting her game show. And I wanted to do that, and I wanted to be her. And so it was a thrill yesterday to get to talk to Annie Wood. And I probably scared her a little bit with my knowledge of her and the show, but she was a good sport and I loved her for it. Okay. Also, let's see, 2 more things, and then we're going to get to our guests. Let's see. If you have seen the episode, my dad's been on the show a couple times. He's been since 1992, not 2002, not 2022, 1992. My dad has been battling cancer and has lost parts of his face. It's been a roller coaster of a life for him. He's actually in the hospital today having more cancer surgeries. So if you want to send him some love, please do. Sucks that I can't be there. He's in Wisconsin and I'm here in South Carolina, but we'll get through this one too. I was in 2nd grade when he was first diagnosed with cancer. I just turned 40. And it never gets easier. It's more predictable, but it certainly never gets easier, and it's very hard. And I think it's just, I don't know. I'm so thankful that he has said yes every single time they have said you need surgery. Every single time they've said you need chemo, radiation, whatever they need, he always says yes. And I don't know if I would be brave or strong enough to go through that for that long. And so my hat's off to him, and I'm glad he's around, and he comes to visit quite often and stays a very long time, but I'm thankful that he can do that. All right. We also, outside of this show, I co-host the Wolf Media Fest podcast. Any creator out there, whether you're making movies, books, board games, podcasts, any creativity, the Wolf Media Festival is a place you should check out, wolfmediafest.com. I co-host their podcast. Every month they have winners in like a gazillion different categories. And I get to interview them on their podcast with Kyle. And so a new episode came out today. I want to play a clip. You can get it wherever you get your podcast, and then we'll be right back with our first guest, Dominika. Here we go. We practiced her last name before we got out here, and I'm going to screw it up. And she said, yeah, you didn't do it right, but nobody does. So I'm going to have her tell you what it is. But she has a great book that we're going to talk about. And we're gonna dream big today. So we'll be right back. Take a look at this clip from Wolf Media Fest, and we'll be right back after this. Oh, that it's very exciting when you hear news that your film is winning Wolf Media Fest awards. But also I want to hear what it's like when Hulu calls and says, hey, you want to do a project with us?
Yeah, no, that was a good day, It's exciting, I mean, they're both exciting for different reasons, if it makes sense. I mean, doing these indie films that have so much heart and soul to them. I mean, the creative fulfillment of that is really something that, I think even you look at whoever, Ed Norton or these, they do this too, right? They go and do Prada ads so that they can do Wes Anderson movies and things that maybe sometimes, don't pay as much because they want to do the art. And that's what's great about these indie films. Hulu is great because I think Welcome to Chippendales is a really, really great show. It's really gritty. It's great acting, Murray Bartlett and Camille Nanjiani. And I mean, I had my first sort of starstruck moment of,
all right, don't forget to go watch the Wolf Media Festival podcast as well. All right, our first guest, ready? Imagine being able to reprogram your brain to overcome challenges and achieve your goals. It sounds like science fiction, but my next guest is making it a reality. She is one of the few elite neuro encoding specialists in the world, and I don't even know what that means, so she's way smarter than I'll ever be, and she's here to share how this revolutionary approach can help you unlock your full potential. Please welcome, I'm going to have her introduce herself. Are you ready? Good morning.
Good morning. You just took my breath away.
Oh my gosh. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Don't do this on the live podcast.
Always a good thing when somebody takes a woman's breath away. I mean, have you ever heard that this was a bad thing?
I mean, not in my life, no, but that's a different story.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. It's absolutely a pleasure and an honor.
Well, thanks for being here. Tell everybody how you pronounce your name, because I don't want to screw it up when people are looking you up.
That's okay. They won't even be able to pronounce it unless they're Polish or Russian. So,
Well, I'm Polish, so you'd think I'd be able to.
well, yeah, but raised in Poland. Let's make it more specific. My
true.
last name is Staniewicz, so I'm Dominika Staniewicz.
What a beautiful name.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love it. What in the world is a neuroencoding specialist, and how did you get into it?
I love that question. So neuroencoding is a method created by an amazing human who is a business partner for many, many years and head coach for Tony Robbins. And he has a PhD in neuropsychology. And he's now 70 plus, created Neuroencoding Institute and started to take neuroscience and dumb it down into practical techniques that can help rewire your brain and use the science and the brain-body connection. Because the truth is, your brain designates and works everything in your body. So if it goes one way, it can go up as well. And we can control our brain with our body, how it reacts, what it does. And that is beautifully connected to being a brain coach. So basically, I help you default to your best behavior, create new behaviors, new wiring, but not from a psychological point of view, because psychology is amazing, but it's the outcome of how your brain is feeling. It's not the other way around.
How come people think it is? Like, I love this kind of stuff, right? And I think it's so real because it is. But how come so many people think that it's like too out there?
Well, it's very simple. Neuroscience has been around, 10 years, 15 years, maybe? It's still science fiction. And some people say, oh my God, brain coach, neuroencoding, that's intimidating.
Yeah.
Well, it could be because you don't know what it is. But you know what? Psychology, menopause, andropause were also intimidated a few years back. And education has this beauty of getting us accustomed to new things. Imagine, I don't know if you do, but I remember those big boxes that used to be called phones, portable phones, and everybody was carrying that thing. And it was huge. It was huge. We were like, oh my God. And now the phones are here, or you can have it in your watch and it's on your hand. It's insane. And at that time, that was also intimidating because it was a symbol of knowledge. This is a symbol of actually gaining control of your life. Imagine this part between your ears called the brain. It controls who you pick to marry, who you pick to date, how you react to things, how you learn, how you feel. It controls literally and how amazing would it be if you could control how that part of your body behaves and you could design it the way you want to. That's what neuroencoding is.
What did you want to be when you were a kid, when you grew up?
So I sing.
How did you get here?
Okay. So I sing, and I sing pretty well, and I used to perform a lot. So I wanted to be a singer like every girl, or like a lot of girls. I wouldn't say every girl. But then life happened, and there were a lot of things I didn't understand about the world. And I got into sociology. I got a master's in sociology, master of science in that. And I got into education, and education was my safe space because I could understand why things are happening. But at the same time, I am epileptic, and I had a seizure after a seizure. No matter how much medication I would take, I would have seizures. And to be honest, a lot of neurologists would tell me some things that I now promote, but I wasn't ready to hear that because the right people weren't around me. It was me against the world kind of era of my life. And then a lot of other things happened. And then one day, I was already a coach for 15 years, an HR director. I was also teaching at a university. So I was doing a lot of things. But when I came to the US, I ran into a program run by Dr. Daniel Amen, who I absolutely adore, and I've learned so much from him. And I'm one of his coaches as well. And Joseph, who leads the Neuroencoding Institute. And those two amazing gentlemen created a program called Brain Revolution, and it was used for coaching. And I fell in love. I used coaches before. I was a coach, but I've never seen something so detailed in science and so practical and easy to do, because I'm not going to, talk to my client. I mean, we can talk about DSM networks and basal ganglia and anterior cingulate gyrus and what they do. We can do all of that, but you probably don't care. It's like, you don't care how the electrical circuit works. You turn on the switch and it works. Well, guess what? We have to turn on the switch in neuroscience to rewire your brain. And we use those simple things. So instead of going to therapy for 10 years, you can be done in a year or half a year with simple things. Or, instead of going, yeah, I got a depression. Well, guess what? Well, we now know, for example, that depression is a symptom of brain health, not the final diagnosis. We got to look deeper. And life is changing. The new knowledge is coming, brain scans, all of this. I fell in love because I could literally help companies to have better results without, very elaborate things. If those people practice the things that the companies we train in companies, not only the company does better, but the private life of those people gets better. It's a win-win. And then individual coaching. I mean, how awesome is that? I had a girl who had anxiety and PTSD from a car accident. And it took us literally 3 months. And she goes, my PT is gone. PTSD, it's just gone. Another girl, young woman, she was 31. She had social anxiety to a point where she would go to a public place and she would throw up or faint. How horrible is that for a young woman who's looking for a person that they want to get married to? And she was so determined. I'm like, it will work if you do what I tell you how to do. And she did. And literally 5 sessions later, she texted me, Dominika, I am in a public place. I'm not fainting. I'm not throwing up. I'm like, yes, it's working. And then a few weeks later, another text, right? Between sessions, because I work with my clients also between sessions. And she goes, Dominika, I spoke with 5 people. It was amazing. I mean, instead of taking medications, we looked at her blood work. We looked at supplements. We looked at her lifestyle. We looked at the food. We looked at so many things, because your brain is like a sponge. It takes everything in. And then without you, it creates habits. It creates behaviors. It creates reactions. You're not, unless you learn how to control it, it's done for you. And very often it's not helpful. And that's what it is. I mean, how amazing is that? And it works for anxiety, ADHD. There are 7 types of ADHD. Did you know that? And every one of them needs something else. And then you have, depression and PTSD and overwhelm and self-doubt. All of those things can be literally rewired within 6 months to a year permanently. Not temporarily, with no medication most of the time. Some people do need to be referred to doctors and they do need to go on meds, but that's very small percentage of people.
How does it feel for you to, how has your life changed? And how does it feel to be able to be of service like that?
You know what? You're doing the right thing when nobody needs to tell you to wake up at 7 a.m. and start working. And when you see people leave, and this is very weird because in business, we're taught to keep clients as long as I can, right? I do the opposite. When people leave and they go, I'm great, I'm doing wonderful, I am ecstatic because they don't need me. Now, they might come back one day because life decides to throw things at them and they get off their, newer habits, they fall off the track. But in general, it's a very different ballgame. And the satisfaction of people going, oh my God, I never thought this would work, and it did. Or people saying, hey, I got a friend, you need to help them. The challenge with that is does the friend wants to be helped? Because you cannot help somebody unless they want to be helped. And the company's going, oh my God, the stress level because of your trainings reduced, and our people now are calmer because they're calmer. Guess what? When you're calmer, you're more creative. When you're more creative, you have more problem-solving skills. When you have more problem-solving skills, then you do better at work. It's a win-win wherever you go. So that's how it feels. In my life, it's mainly training, coaching, public speaking on stages with Les Brown and other amazing humans, and feeding that knowledge in a fun, effective way where you can get inspired, you can take practical examples and can just run with it. And I love what I do. And some days I work 16 hours, but that's very rare. It was so amazing, me being an epileptic, when I started practicing all the things I talk about. Guess what? I haven't had a seizure in 8 years. Not one. And I had grand mal full option seizures. Haven't had a seizure in 8 years. My EEG is good. And I made it a priority. Me and my health and my brain health is a priority, because if I take care of that organ will take care of me.
Yeah.
And I can now say, yes, probably I cannot party until 2 a.m. every day. Sorry. But that's a very small trade-off for not having seizures and not losing memory for 2 weeks, right? So my life has changed drastically. I used to take antidepressants because of epileptic medication. They give you antidepressants. And I've been off antidepressants for 5 years. I'm on supplements. Haven't touched an antidepressant. And that's amazing because it has no side effects. It has no side effects. And it's just what we can do now with brain health, brain coaching, not only me, but people who work with neuroscience and make it practical. The protocols, so-called, that are created, they're so simple and they're very often very easy. You just got to decide to do them, and your life will never be the same again. I promise you. It's phenomenal.
That's what I should have named this episode. Your life will never be the same again once you watch this episode. Dang it. Tell everybody about your book.
Okay, so my book is based on neuroscience. It's short and sweet and to the point. If you get overwhelmed, if you get stressed, if you have anxiety, if you cannot finish your dreams, and if you cannot really, you kind of have those dreams, and then, it's right now about the time where people go, oh, never mind, my New Year's resolutions, I'm just going to go back to normal. This is a book for you. It has practical examples and systems that are so simple. It focuses on science of process, not achievement. And that is a mind shift and mind change, because outcome is coming either way. This book will show you how to achieve what you want with tiny steps, tiny changes. No revolution. No, every day I'm going to exercise 50 hours a day. No. You're going to walk 10 minutes a day, and that's going to change your life. Or if you cannot do it a day, you're going to do it once a week at the beginning. And we're going to learn how to celebrate. We're going to engage our body, our brain. We're going to rewire for pleasure, because we're literally designed for pleasure. So all of those things are in the book, and the book is for people who get overwhelmed. So on purpose, it's no more than 80 pages. And inside the book, you have little QR codes where you can download exercises. By the way, on Amazon, somebody took my book and created a workbook. I do not subscribe to that. That's not my work. And they literally named it by the name of my book. It happened. Thank you. It's a compliment. That means they believe it's a phenomenal book. But I have my own exercises in the book. So you don't need to buy anything else, just the price of coffee on Amazon and Kindle.
I love it. And what is the best way that people can connect with you?
Okay, well, you go and just put anywhere Your Brain Coach D. And yourbraincoachd.com, that's my website. And you have separate site for individuals and corporations. And then you can go to Instagram, you go Your Brain Coach D. On LinkedIn, Your Brain Coach D, or my first and last name. And Facebook, Your Brain Coach D, and YouTube, Your Brain Coach D. So wherever you go, it's Your Brain Coach D, which is me.
Smart. Yes, great. What do you love most about your life right now?
The fact that I'm making the world a better place.
Yeah.
One person or 100 people at a time or thousands at a time. I just had the privilege to be on Chelsea's show, Fox 26 and Fox Soul. And that's a national. And I was talking about brain health. I was giving examples, and people sent me videos when they were watching TV. They stood up and did the exercises with me. Can you imagine if even few people take those things and their life becomes better? That's just, it doesn't get better than this. And I get paid for it. So, I mean, it's a win-win all around.
It's not a bad gig if you can get it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that to do what you love, you first have to find what you love and stick with it. And not everything what you love is marketable. So you need to adjust to what people need. I mean, it took me a very long time to be less scientific and more storytelling so people can relate. I love the science, but unfortunately not everybody does. But they do love the outcomes that the science provides. So let's give people what they need so they can make better choices. They can have a better life, less stress, less anxiety, less depression, or no depression, no PTSD. And all of that, in a lot of cases, not all, can be done with no medication or with the cooperation with your doctor. And some things you can do on your own. You just got to choose to be happy.
I want you here every day. I want you in my own life. Can you move in, or can I move in with you? You're just such a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. That's such an honor to be your guest. And I absolutely love your beautiful, fun, and childish, but so enlightening design of your studio. It's refreshing because life is exactly what we dare to make it. And why don't we dare to make it fun and light? Because it is, after all, what we choose, right? How we see life. And let's see life from the child's perspective, where curiosity opens the world, where challenges are just little things that you need to look at, go, how can I solve this puzzle? Imagine if you would approach life like this. And yes, it sounds silly for an adult, but it works because curiosity is the antidote to loneliness, depression, and stress. So let's be curious.
There you go. That's your next book title. Let's be curious. Are you working on another book?
Not right now. I want this to first become, and then I'm kind of working with people and looking what would they need, because I have billions of ideas. And by the way, this is my 5th book, right? But this is the only one in my profession. My other books are fantasy books under a pen name, and they're in Polish and in English. So I'm looking for something that would be very practical, because knowledge is available, but how can you make it practical that speaks to everybody, that it's a small, tiny thing, and that, people can digest and then just use it. So right now I'm in the curiosity phase, asking questions, looking what people struggle the most and where neuroscience can help with simple techniques where they can just grab it, run with it, and have a better life. And that's what, the magic of dreaming big, acting small, and achieving success is about. And my next book definitely will be following in those footsteps, but I don't know when it's coming. For now, just chase me around podcasts and reach out to me. There's 2 newsletters. One is from Facebook, one is from LinkedIn. So you get to learn a lot of amazing things in very short pills. You know what? The funny thing is, if people would do just what they hear from people like me or doctors, but those that, they kind of know what they're talking about, not necessarily people who are telling you eat 5 calories a day and you'll be skinny, because that's not a good idea. We would not be needed. We all know how to lose weight. We all know how to be happy. We all know what to do. The problem is with doing.
Yeah.
And that's magic. Magic is in the doing, not in the knowing. Knowing is nothing. It's not a key to anything. It's not a key to wisdom. Knowing is just saying, how many super smart people I know that are dead broke and miserable? Plenty, but they're so smart.
Yeah.
Those who do change, make a change. And the doing doesn't have to be good. It's the tiny changes you make. What if instead of, drinking orange juice every day, which has a lot of calories, is good for you, but if you Coke, let's go with Coke. What if instead of 1 liter of Coke every day, you would drink a glass of water instead of every time? Now, it doesn't have sugar, but they have found that over 6 months, people who were drinking water 1 liter a day, people who are drinking Coke 1 liter a day, and people who are drinking Diet Coke 1 liter a day, people who drink water last 4 kilos. People who drink Coke just 1 liter a day, which is less than a gallon, I believe, they gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
10 pounds just from one drink. So imagine that small change, getting rid of that. And what other bad habits do you have that you could get rid of that are not hard? I could talk forever. Life is amazing if you dare to make it amazing.
Oh, come back anytime. Anytime you want to chat, please come back, because I love it. I love it.
Invite me anytime and I'll come back.
All right. Well, click that link that you got here and just see if I'm here waiting for you, because I probably will be. Go get the book, The Magic of Dreaming Big. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with Victoria Scholz right after this. Don't go away. Thank you so much.
Your body is whispering secrets to you about the life you're here to live. Decode the messages about the joy you're meant to experience despite, or maybe because of, the condition that upended everything you thought you knew. If you're ready to make magic and meaning of your one wild and precious life, Learn more about coaching with Nona at nonajordan.com.
I knew that was going to happen. My next guest knows the fashion industry inside and out. From the glamour of the runway to the harsh realities of its supply chain, she has seen it all. I was trying to change something, and there's only so much time to do this all by myself. And what she's discovered might just change the way you think about clothes that you wear. Please welcome Victora Scholz. Morning.
Good morning. Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Can I just tell everybody what you told me right before we went on, which is you have taken kind of a break from publicity and talking about this and being a guest, and we get to be your first kind of jump back into the spotlight.
Absolutely. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful to have the opportunity. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk to you and learn from you, because I am someone that you would probably yell at a lot. And so I want to learn from you today about fashion and fast fashion, which is funny because I was just interviewing someone yesterday and we were talking about Shein. And and she is someone who loves vintage shopping, and so we were talking about that off camera. But so it's a full circle moment here, because we're all going to learn from you about fashion and fast fashion. And I first want to can you tell everybody what fast fashion is?
Yes, let's start off with a little definition. Fast fashion, the phenomenon started like 20 years ago, where we realized that it's possible to produce fashion at a very large scale in a very short time. So if you go back in time, like we had the tailors. So like one garment would take at least a week, because you had, like one person working on it, and it was everything tailored to the body and having like the right sizes for everybody, right? And now we have like this large scale production where we have like this vast amount of clothing produced literally every single day. And we're producing clothing off the rack, like we don't go to the tailor anymore, taking our measurements and really producing something for us, right? So we're really having like this mass production. And I think that's like one of the most adequate definitions of fast fashion, is really about the fast pace of how we produce clothing nowadays.
Well, and so one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this show, and it's called Make Your Day Richer, is that it seems like, from an outside perspective, like, well, that would make my life richer. I can get clothes faster, and they're fashionable, and they're accessible because they're cheaper. And so what's not to love about them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's honestly, where you come in.
Yes. I am not a person to point fingers. I will never do that, ever. Like if you buy from those brands, I will totally respect and accept that, because it has democratized fashion. One has to be real, like everybody's accessible to fashion now. Everybody can look trendy. Everybody can follow the styles at a very low budget, right? So this is great. Right. And I am willing absolutely to see that positive of it. My part is really just to take it a step behind the scenes, and let's just think about it for just 1 second. So if I have a t-shirt for $3 that I can buy, how is it possible that the person who made this t-shirt has a fair wage? How is it possible that we accounted the environmental damage done by dyeing the t-shirt, by producing the t-shirt? Then we have like different kind of raw materials, right? So if we would have a polyester garment, we would actually have to extract the raw material from earth, because it's made out of fossil fuels, right? So we have this whole process. Then if we have a cotton garment, we need an vast amount of water and soil and pesticides. So how is it that for a $3 t-shirt, we can account for all that? So this is just my kind of train of thought, where I would like people to invite them to just take a step back just for a minute and just think about it. If I pay so little for this garment, in what world is it feasible that the person who made my garment is actually getting paid fairly? So this is kind of conversation that I would like to have, because it is amazing. It is just also the question, do we need 20 t-shirts? Do we,
Yeah. Yeah, like yes, that's a complete sentence of like, do we? Like that seems a little crazy. I want to go back a little bit into how you like your background and how you got into fashion.
Sure. Honestly, I was a forever fashion girly, forever. Literally, like I was when I was like back at 4 years old, I was having like those little top model books. Do you know them? Where you have like you know like you have like the little fashion designs on the little
Yeah.
and a little girl. So I was forever into fashion. And when I was 15, I kind of decided to follow the dream. So I kind of went out of my high school at that time and went into a fashion high school, started to work as a personal assistant for a designer. And then I just, like literally since I'm 15, I've been working in the supply chain in some sort of step. I tried to like seam the collection. I was in marketing. I was at the raw material extraction. I was living in Austria, seeing how cellulose was made. We have like the cellulose based fibers where you literally have a tree and at the end of the day you have a garment made out of the tree, what is just fascinating to me, right? So it was always fashion was my big love. And then I did my bachelor degree in global brand and fashion management. And currently I'm doing my sustainable fashion master in Florence. So it's all about fashion since literally day one.
Oh my gosh. What is something that people would be surprised to know about the fashion industry?
It's not as superficial as it looks. I think that's like one of the most common things, like you look at fashion and everything seems so glamorous and so beautiful, but we also always get the stereotype that it's so superficial and it's all about looks, but it's really not. If you imagine, like we have around 300 million people working in the fashion industry currently. It's so many people, so many creativity, so many amazing and kind souls. And it's really all about people at the end. It's about the magic of creativity and people coming together to create magic, in my opinion.
Yeah, and when you hear about fast fashion, and even there was a long time, like I don't know, 30 years ago or whatever, a lot of talk about sweatshops and the right and like the treatment of people in places that are making that. Is that any better now? Or are we just not talking about it?
What I think is better now is that we do talk about it, that we heard about it, that we're, like that we have the conversation about it. Because I believe that sweatshops are only able to exist because nobody talked about it and nobody did their research and nobody kind of fighted against that. And that's why it was possible, because people realized by exploiting people and by exploiting the environment, I am able to produce garments at a very low cost because I have very low production cost. And that's why I can sell it at a very cheaper price. It always comes back to the cheap price at the end has to be paid by the people working the supply chain. And that's kind of the thing that I want to fight against, because now we realize that, at the beginning, it used to be like the fast fashion brands selling the cheap garments that were having cheap production costs. But now we realize that even big brands, even luxury brands are doing the same thing. So it's very sad because for me, at the end of the day, it's all about profit. The less you pay the people in the production process, the more profit you have at the end. So that's the thing that's kind of getting me mad, because sweatshop is one of the reasons I'm sitting here. Sweatshops is one of the reasons that I'm fighting against like the system for like 5 years now, because I love fashion more than everything. I told you, literally since I'm a little girl, but not at the price for people. Hell no. So it was as soon as I was working for the designer as a personal assistant and seeing myself, I was asking her like very casually, how do my colleagues work? Like how, I'm doing like the custom things, but how do my colleagues work in the large scale production? Because for me, every seamstress is a colleague, and I just wonder, like, just because a woman was not lucky enough to be born where I was born, but on the like side of the planet, she's treated so bad doing the exact same thing that I am doing, working like literally 14 hours a day for 13 cents. Like, in what world is that fair when we're doing the exact same thing? So that's like kind of, it's terrible.
I think, and I don't know if this is, I don't know, it feels like a worldwide thing, not just an American thing, but oftentimes when things are out of sight, out of mind, right? Like we can a ton of things, animal abuse, school shooting, all of these things. If it's not happening to you or next door to you, we feel like it's non-existent, and that I feel like maybe is part of this problem as well, because it's someone that we can't even connect to. There's no connection to that person, so it doesn't matter.
Mm. I totally see your point. I believe that's why a lot of people are able to turn a blind eye,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are don't know about it. They just don't ask the question, how is it possible that my garment is as cheap? And that's
Yeah.
why I think this conversation that we're having, this is why I'm so eternally grateful to have this conversation with you, because I feel like this is really what changed the mindset of consumers. As soon as they ask the question, maybe they will, like change a little bit, or change their behavior, or at least be more mindful about it. And what I love in the recent times is you can go to YouTube, like everything is on YouTube. You have all the documentaries, you have the data, you have the visuals. So what I like is that slowly but surely we have the accessible information. Yes, we maybe like it's still far away, but we can see it right on our phones in our homes, and it's just, for me personally, I just am a very firm believer that all humans are the same. I always feel like we all have bones, we all have blood, like we're all humans, we cry and we laugh. And those people, even though they're on the other side of the world, they are the exact same as we are. So for me, there's just no way that this is nice, that, people who are the exact same as us, just living on a different place on this earth, are treated so badly just for our cheap clothes. Like, this is just not reasonable in any way for me.
Yeah, they're still someone's child. They're still someone's parent. They're still like, yeah. How can people join this fight with you?
Well, I believe there's such an amazing and beautiful movement out there where you have, like this rising popularity of like ethical brands and sustainable brands. And they are really trying their best to showcase and to be transparent. I feel like transparency is a huge key. I just did it myself with my own brand, not, to try and populate anything. But what I was doing with my brand is I was filming the entire process, and I was filming walking through my production chain, and I was filming walking through the office where the seamstresses doing my collections are working. So for me, it's all about transparency, because I feel like, because we don't see, we don't know, we kind of, we don't care. But I feel like as soon as you see, it's just like a whole nother story, so really kind of just like try to find those brands that are transparent and that are really trying to communicate and that are trying to make the world a better place, because they are out there.
Yeah, they are out there. We just need to, unfortunately, like try a little bit harder to find them, right? They're not out there making big commercials in front of your face, but they're out there. What about the future of fashion? Because I know there are a lot of there's talks about different regulations for some of these fast fashion companies. Like, where do you see the future of fashion going? Especially like with AI and everything, like all of that happening. What do you see?
I actually see a huge opportunity in AI, simply because the fashion industry is creating a lot of waste, sadly, annually. Like, just imagine just like the cutting, just like creating a pattern for the garment and like cutting out the pieces to be able to seam them together into a beautiful piece of clothing. We create so much waste. Like, the staggering amount of pre-consumer and post-consumer waste is insane. So with AI, we could do virtual try-ons. We can do 3D models, so with the help of AI, we can, I think, reduce a lot of waste, what I think is quite beautiful. So we're definitely going to step into that. I think we're going to have like, the metaverse. We're going to have like virtual shops. We're going to wear our garments, not only in real life, but also for video games. So I think that there will be like a whole venture for the fashion industry in that sector. Also with the legislations, I'm honestly quite hopeful, simply because I believe that the industry will have more restrictions, so they can just not do whatever they're doing currently as easily. you know. So they have to be more transparent, they have to be more sustainable, otherwise they will pay enormous fines, and they maybe even eventually go out of business if the fines are too high, you know. So I think it's a great opportunity not only to talk to them through a moral perspective, you know, like please be kind and treat your people well, but there's no way you're gonna stay relevant in this new day and age with so many new customers actually asking the questions you're asking me right now, and being interested and being curious and actually wanting to be part of the change, when keep doing as they're doing now. Like we see fast, like even big brands being canceled every day, you know, because like some of their dirt comes out. So I'm quite hopeful, to be honest.
Good. Then I am too. If you are, I am. That's good. I love that. If someone's watching right now and they're like, okay, that's it. I like, this is my, you know, light bulb moment. This is my, like, I can't do this anymore. I have a closet full of that, or I'm waiting for my order to show up. What are some like ways, easy ways that people can transition that thought or that lifestyle, you know, like ways to get their fashion, like places to go, and even like what do you do with the stuff you have that you're like, oh, can't even wear that anymore?
I love that question so much. It's so helpful. Thank you so much. Honestly, so I believe there are a few ways, you know, because we have the stigma that sustainable fashion is so expensive that it's not accessible to everybody. And I feel like that's one of the main problems, you know. So I really believe, like your wonderful colleague, you know, said before, vintage is a great opportunity. If you really just, you know, want to buy something new, you want to, you know, wear that new garment, vintage is a great opportunity because it creates less waste, and it's actually giving the life and the garment a new life, you know. So I really truly believe if we extend the life of a garment, we can do so much good for the environment and for the people. So really like trying to extend it. If you want something new, try to buy vintage, or really try to do your research, because there are sustainable brands out there. And I really like, if you just type in sustainable fashion, there will be brands popping up. I promise you, you know, it's such a growing industry. And also what I like to be like creative about it, because it doesn't have to be expensive, you know. Honestly, like vintage fashion is quite cheap, but also try to be creative. Like, can you swap with a friend? Can you, you know, like share your closet? Can you find maybe something from your grandma's and make it into something new? Can you upcycle it? Can you maybe like add some beads, or maybe add some pearls, you know, and try to make it look cool again, you know, like what can we do with the stuff that we already have? Because I believe that we buy something new because we want to have something fresh, something new, something, you know, makes us feel good. But how about we challenge our creativity and just, you know, check Pinterest and just be like, okay, upcycling, what can I do with this old t-shirt that annoys me, you know, like paint it, have a trip with your girls, just be like, okay, we're all gonna bring all our stuff we don't want anymore, and we're gonna have a creative day, you know. So I believe there are like so many beautiful and innovative ways that are not expensive to be able to participate on the sustainable movement. Like, you don't have to buy the most expensive sustainable fashion brand. You can literally just like do some arts and craft with your girls and with your boys, you know, and have a little party together, and really just try to turn your old stuff into new. Like, that's literally like the most sustainable possibly do, you know.
I wish you were here in the studio, because we would have a table full and we could like do a whole thing of like what you can change on different items. That would be so fun. Next time you're coming here in the studio, we're going to do that.
I would love that. But honestly, it's like so easy, you know, and that's kind of like breaking the stigma, you know, because the stigma is it's expensive, it's not accessible to all. But how about we just being creative?
Yeah, I love that. That's so exciting. What do you love most about your life right now?
I love the opportunity. I just love never giving up, and I just love being hopeful and staying positive and always trying to find new ways and new solutions, and, you know, just kind of jiggling through the moment, because obviously it's quite hard in the sustainable fashion scene. You know, it is expensive. It is we need to do a lot of research. We need to be extremely crucial with our partners. You know, we need to be safe. But, you know, it's just the most exciting part is really to be able to meet people that, you know, share your vision television that, like you, literally give me the opportunity to talk about it. And honestly, I believe that through fashion, we can change the world, because like through fashion, we're creating so much damage. So, why not create a positive change? And I truly believe that's possible, because every single body is participating in the fashion industry. Everybody wears clothes, So if we can do good in the fashion industry, we really can change the world. I truly believe that,
We're all billboards for whatever we're wearing. Yeah. That's so
Make it
true.
good.
What is the best way that people can connect with you and follow you?
Well, I have an Instagram account. It's VCN Scholz. So you can, hit me up there. I would love to have any kind of conversation. I'm always open to questions, always open, like, how would you do that? Or I have this old t-shirt. What would you do with it? Like, I'm so excited to be part of it, because I truly believe we need to be in communication, and we need to be part of the change, and we need to create that sense of community together in order to really make an impact, So, whatever, like also LinkedIn, if you want to, whatever kind of platform, just come and find me, have a talk with me, send me your old t-shirt, let's think about it, because I believe in people. I believe in the good of people, and I believe if people come together, we can really do something amazing.
We need to start like a game show, like a contest game show, which who can make the best fashion. And then there's judges like Project Runway or whatever, but like with sustainable stuff. We'll work on that. Victoria, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much.
Honestly, it was such an amazing time. You're so kind. You're so sweet. It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, come back anytime. You can come here every day if you want. I don't care.
It's amazing. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
And,
You too.
I would love to stay in contact, And then,
well, you know where to find me. I'm right here at this desk. Anytime. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this. Thank you so much.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Thanks for watching, everybody. On tomorrow's show, we have Curtis Linville and his book, 99 Words. And we also have Lane Iguren, who's author of A Family Maybe. So go make your day richer. Go make someone else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support the show because you're enjoying it, please buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.